key, I am the lock, I am the door. I am the ocean that gives birth to space and time. I am the pen, I am the poet, I am the rhyme. I am the only freedom worthy of the name. I am the spark, I am the fire, I am the flame. I am the silence that the singer longs to hear. I am the light that washes clean the deepest fear. I am the smile that time could never cause to fade. I am the love that every lover ever made. I am. I am. I am. I am the hope that washes every tear away. I am the sun that turns the night into the day. I am the peace that every heart is searching for. I am the key, I am the lock, I am the door. I am the ocean that gives birth to space and time. I am the pen, I am the poet, I am the rhyme. I am the only freedom worthy of the name. I am the spark, I am the fire, I am the flame. I am the silence that the singer longs to hear. I am the light that washes clean the deepest fear. I am the smile that time could never cause to fade. I am the love that every lover ever made. I am. I am. I am. I am. Thank you. Thank you, Nina and Tom. Good morning. Good morning. What a beautiful family you have here at Unity Cedar Rapids. And it's always a great privilege and joy for Sandy and me and Bruiser to be with you. Did everyone see Bruiser? Sandy, hold up Bruiser real quick. This is Bruiser Magram. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, you know, there's so much to talk about, including what I said I was going to talk about. The first thing I'd like to do, we're going to talk about creating peace in our lives today. That's really what we talk about every time I come. And it's the challenge and the opportunity that we have as human beings in these bodies to realize our God nature. Sometimes it's called being with a capital B. That unbounded ocean that underlies all of creation, that each of us is simply a wave on, but just as every wave is the entire ocean, each of us, in our essential silent nature, is the entirety of creation and more. So, as many of you know, I spend most of my time these days as an environmental activist. And so, because that is a great passion of mine, and part of today's lesson is that spiritual inquiry, spiritual undertaking, and ambition, if we can use that word, is not in any way antithetical to living a dynamic life in this world. As a matter of fact, as we'll discuss more in a few minutes, it is from that state of deep, grounded silence, that state of unbounded intelligence and creativity and energy that underlies all of creation, that our action can be most dynamic, most powerful, and most life-supporting for all of life. So that's our opportunity, that's our goal. And given my great environmental passion, I would like to acknowledge Jim Green. Would you please stand up, Jim? Show them your shirt, Jim. Jim went to Washington, D.C. last Saturday to participate in the People's Climate March. And it's this kind of standing up for life that I hope all of us, in our own way, will undertake. I mentioned to you that I was arrested last May at the British Petroleum Refinery in Whiting, Indiana. Not everyone, arrest is not right for everyone. But especially if you're a young person worried about having an arrest on your job applications and all that, for people my age, it really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. So, Jim, thank you very much for taking a stand for Mother Earth. All right, so let's move into our talk here. Peace is our essential nature. That is who we are. That is our birthright. That is the ultimate reality of life. Our suffering is caused, and this is an interesting, I was thinking about this today. Our suffering is caused by our resisting what is. Not to be, but not resisting injustice on the outside, which is what Jim did last Saturday, but it's resisting on the inside. I make up these bumper stickers occasionally. You look terrific, by the way, Josh. Great job. Our bumper sticker is, everything's perfect and it's getting better. So given all of the energies of life, all the influence of our individual consciousnesses in the world, the state of the world perfectly expresses that collective consciousness. It's hard to believe that we actually deserve some of the things we see in the world. But it is our own consciousness that is creating this outer expression of life. Now, that is not to say that we don't work to make things better. That's why I said everything's perfect, but it's getting better. So it is that state of inner groundedness, of peace, of surrender, that allows us to be totally attuned to our God nature. And from that most powerful, most settled state of life, to engage in action in the world, to stand up against injustice, to stand for good, to stand for righteousness. So we shouldn't confuse the two. I remember reading or watching a Byron Katie tape. You know who she is, a great teacher. And this woman was an activist, and this was before I became an activist. And she was very angry about the state of the world. And she told Byron Katie that she was afraid if she let go of her anger, that she would no longer care enough to take action. And Byron Katie said simply, in my experience, love acts. I mean, take Jesus as the perfect example of that. Jesus was the embodiment of love, and yet we saw him acting in the world, standing for righteousness, teaching life, standing up against injustice. So if Jesus could operate from that state of pure love and engage in service to humanity, then so can we. So this is our challenge. What gets in our way? So it's not the outer resistance. It's not the outer resistance that causes us suffering. It's the inner resistance. And what do I mean by that? Again, to quote Byron Katie, when I believed my thoughts, I suffered. When I believed my thoughts, I suffered. And our thoughts are, if I could just spill them out real quickly here. My thoughts are, I don't want this. This shouldn't be the way it is. This should be different. I want this that I don't have. So essentially, we are arguing with what is. We are arguing with what is. You know that great saying, resistance is futile. It is. It causes us misery. And again, the reason I mentioned that first part of my talk about that we do act in the name of good in the world is because I wanted to get that clear. But that doesn't mean we should fight with what is inside. Because what happens? We cause ourselves misery. And acting from a state of misery, no matter what our action is, whether it's cooking dinner or whether it's joining a protest movement or whatever, it weakens us. It weakens our ability to act effectively. You know that old saying, I hate to bring this up, but I'm doing it, so I must not hate it that much. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And that could have many meanings. Did Shakespeare say that, by the way? Somebody who was pretty poetic said that. But, you know, from that state of a settled, cool-headedness, what needs to be done here? So we should never mistake anger for commitment to a cause. Anger is a result of our own inability to make peace with what is while we simultaneously act to make it better. My wife is the master of that. She's been able to accept me the way I am for 35 years while constantly making me a better man. Say yes. Okay, so now there are three general ways we can categorize all of our thoughts that we believe that make us miserable. We could kind of lump them into three broad categories. And those categories are wanting safety, wanting approval, or wanting control. These are kind of arbitrary, but they're broad categories. So don't speak it out, but just think to yourself right now something that disturbs you in your life, whatever that is. I know what Sandy's thinking. But think what disturbs you. No matter what it is, whether it's politics or whether it's a friend of yours who you're mad at, whatever it is, your children aren't living up to your expectations, just think that thought for a second. Please notice in your body how you feel. when you're thinking that thought. Probably makes you feel tense in your stomach or agitated somewhere. Now, say to yourself, just which of those three categories, wanting safety, wanting approval, or wanting control, does this fall into? There's no right or wrong answer. But which of those three is it? Is it because I want safety? Is it because I want, let's say we're worried about our health. Well, maybe that one would be wanting safety. Let's say we wish our kids were different. Maybe that's about wanting control. Maybe we're feel bad about something we did, and maybe that's about wanting approval. So everyone basically, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. And some say that it's all about wanting safety ultimately, no matter what it is we want. So now I'm going to ask you a simple question. And there's no wrong answer here, but just be honest with yourself. What would you rather have? Unshakable inner peace or the experience of wanting that thing? The wanting control, wanting safety, wanting approval cause us distress. The wanting what we don't have causes us distress. So what would you rather have? The distress that goes with wanting what you don't have, or unshakable inner peace, which is your own essential nature, your own God nature? Now, just knowing the high level of consciousness of this family, I'm going to guess that most of you would rather have unshakable inner peace than the distress of wanting safety, wanting control, or wanting approval. Okay? So this is how we make ourselves miserable and undermine our effectiveness in living life. This is what causes, we increase our blood pressure this way. We create conflicts in our relationships. So let's close our eyes. Let's see what it's like to let go. So we have this thought, whatever that thought is that you are aware of. And we've put that in one of these three categories: wanting safety, wanting control, or wanting approval. So the first step in this process is acknowledging that I must want unshakable inner peace more than I want those other things. I must want unshakable inner peace more than I want safety, more than I want control, more than I want approval. And then, if you choose, and this is completely voluntary, you just say to yourself, I choose to release that need, whatever it is, whatever you've identified, so that I can have inner peace. And I want your intention, if you're willing, to just let go of that wanting, whatever it is. Even if it's about wanting to survive an illness, no matter how profound that wanting is, I'm inviting you just to let go. And let go even more. And even more. And let go of that wanting even more. Imagine a closed fist relaxing and letting go, opening up and letting go. And let go even more. This thing that causes you misery because you want it and you don't have it. And keep letting go.
And let go some more. And as you let go, you notice the breath becomes more quiet. And that inner silence that we are begins to emerge. And let go of any last trace or traces of that wanting. And if you're willing, just pour some love on yourself. Unconditional love and acceptance for exactly who you are. All of your needs, all of your wants, all of your dissatisfactions, all of your conflicts, just exactly who you are. Just surround yourself in this nurturing light of love. And if there's anyone else involved in this story that you've identified, pour some love on them as well. Whoever it is. Just surround them with love and acceptance. Another Byron Katie quote I love is, "If I could have done better, I would have done better." And that's the same for all the people that make mistakes, that inflict suffering on others. If they could do better, they would do better. So even while we work to make the world a better place, even while we work to make our lives more joyful, more whole, more loving, of greater service, we accept and love ourselves and others as they are. And when you're ready, slowly open the eyes. Our spiritual life is about expanding our experience of who we are from this small ego self to the unbounded ocean of consciousness that is our essential nature. So I always encourage you to practice your meditation practice, whatever that is. Sandy and I come from the transcendental meditation background, but whatever meditation you do that brings you to that state of inner silence regularly, then we encourage you to do that. And then from that, there's a quote in the Bhagavad Gita. I've told you this story before. Many of you have read the Bhagavad Gita. But this great archer, Arjuna, his heart is full of love. The battle is set up. This is like the battle of life. And he must fight his loved ones, or on the other, some of his family and friends are on the other side. And he can't fight. His heart is so full, even though he knows that the battle is necessary. He cannot fight. The bow falls from his hand. And the essential teaching of Lord Krishna in that moment is yogastha kuru karmani. Established in being, perform action. Established in being, perform action. So these are the two instructions for us living our lives. Established in the self, in that unbounded ocean of joy, purity, peace, to engage in action. Did everyone find it more nurturing to be in that quiet place than in the agitated place of conflict? So we have that choice to make every day, all day long. We're caught up in this conflict, wanting something, being out of control, whatever it is, on driving, somebody cuts us off, we get triggered. Every moment there's the opportunity to settle back into the self, to let go. Suffering is our own creation, and peace is available to us always, because that is who we are. I'm going to play a song for you that I wrote in 1972. I think I might have tried to play it the last time and I forgot the lyrics. I wish I could say it's because I hadn't sung it since 1972, but that would not be true. So, Nina, you're not going to play on this song, are you?
I don't think so.
There once was a time before time had begun, when the ocean of being had not yet become, when silence and stillness were all that there was. There was no creation nor natural law. Then came the first day when the silence was stirred, when all of creation was still just a word, just as the tree is contained in the seed. This one word beheld endless diversity. The creative force was the first to arise, then the maintaining force soon stood by his side. Last but not least came the force of all change, the structure of life to arrange. Then dancing and singing, the three intertwined. At once there was space interacting with time, like waves on an ocean. Being had become, yet remaining itself, all was still one. As creation unfolded, the universe changed. Though essential being was ever the same, and one of the very first souls who emerged cognized and recorded the word. And down through the ages, this wisdom has come, that all this is being, that being is one, and we are all waves on that eternal sea, the ocean of unbounded infinity.